My brother Michael Smith, great shirt. Happy Friday to you. And, I want to ask you a question, man. Do you remember when we had Rodney Harrison on the show? It must have been Tom Brady's first season in Tampa. And it was before the playoffs. And we were talking to Rodney about Tom Brady. He said, people don't understand Tom Brady is a thug. Do you remember that interview? And we started laughing?
I do.
And he was
I never heard him described
basically
that way.
saying, yeah, Tom Brady is a thug. So what he was saying was, look, you don't get to be Tom Brady playing at this high level, playing with several teammates, taking all those hits without having some toughness to you. There's the exterior, there's the facade. I'll put it that way. And I'm not putting this on Brady. It's no criticism. There's a facade of Brady, what people think he is, and then there are people who are able to go back into the inner sanctum, into the rooms behind the storefront, and see what makes Tom Brady tick. And they understand he's extremely competitive, he's extremely intelligent, and at times, as Ben Volen is writing about in the Boston Globe, and I told you, this man is cutthroat. Now, both things, as Michael Smith, my friend Michael Smith likes to say, both things can be true. So Bruce Arians can be an ally and see an opportunity to set up one of his former players for success. That would be Todd Bowles. Hey, Todd Bowles, I'm going to step down and I'm going to allow you to be the head coach because you deserve to coach a real team with good players and a great quarterback like we have right here. That's true. That can be true. And it also can be true that Bruce Arians had no choice but to step down because Tom Brady kind of engineered this thing to get what he wanted. So Ben Volen in the Boston Globe, for those who don't know, Ben Volen, he outlines it using sources, including Mike Florio, Rich Ohrnberger. He's got a source close to Brady. The story is in the Globe, and it's really tracing the timeline from when Brady originally announced his retirement, this plan by the Dolphins to bring in Sean Payton as the head coach, Brady as part owner temporarily until they could work out a deal to make Brady their quarterback. And this was all going in motion until at the same time Brian Flores drops his lawsuit, his racial discrimination lawsuit against the Dolphins and others. And so the Dolphins are looking at it saying, wait a minute, we're going to bring in Tom Brady, a white part owner. We're going to bring in Sean Payton, a white head coach, and Brian Flores, our fired black coach, is going to accuse us of racial discrimination. May not be a good look. Pause. Put that on pause. Then that's when Tom Brady had to start thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? Because his plan was to get out of Tampa and go to Miami. Tampa, all the things go in motion. And he winds up unretiring Bruce Arians out of a job. There it is.
I'm sorry. Yeah. It was this John Singleton movie that I like. Rest in peace. I was watching it. It was on Netflix the other day. I've seen it a million times, but I like to rewatch movies over and over. It's this movie called Four Brothers. You ever seen it?
Yes.
It's with Mark Wahlberg, Andre 3000, Andre Benjamin, Tyrese Gibson.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a line from Mark Wahlberg that says, "It's not a good idea if it takes you longer to say it than it does for you to think it." And that's what this story reminds me of. I mean, all of it, listening to you, and it's not, you're relaying Ben Volen's reporting. I read his article as well. I read him piecing together, connecting dots, and piecing together other people's reporting to construct a timeline of Tom Brady's 40 days in the wilderness, okay? Just listening to you say it, though, it's so far-fetched. And I'm not saying that Tom Brady's not a thug. I'm not saying that Tom Brady is not manipulative. I'm not saying that Tom Brady is not a schemer, that Tom Brady is not capable of being a puppet master. But so many things had to happen, and so many things didn't need to happen. Okay, I'll give you another T word. Let's go chronological. I'll give you another T word. How about tantrum? How about tantrum? isn't there a middle ground between announcing a retirement and forcing your coach out if you really don't want to play for Bruce Arians as a condition of you coming back? Isn't there a middle ground there than retiring? Like, okay, you just had a sweet, beautiful conversation with your kids, okay?
Yeah.
You know how it goes, where your kids will throw a tantrum when you don't give them what they want. Yeah. And once they finish throwing a tantrum, you're like, okay, now what? What's your next play? What you gonna do now? So Tom Brady retires, lets you and Ben Volen and other conspiracy theorists tell it. He retires because he doesn't want to play for Bruce Arians? And when he comes back... I haven't gotten to the Dolphins part yet. I haven't gotten to the Dolphins part.
But that's why he retired.
I'll get to that ridiculousness in a second. I'll get to that ridiculous in a second. I'm going chronologically. So he retires from the Bucs, but ends up coming back on the condition that Bruce Arians is no longer the coach. Okay, which we've already talked about this. I told you, call me naive. I'm not buying into that conspiracy because there's a middle ground between quitting on the Bucs and returning to the Bucs 40 days later if all you wanted was a different coach and for Bruce Arians to move upstairs. So that's part one. Concurrently is this deal with the Dolphins. The only thing I buy into is that Stephen Ross is always up to no good. That much we know.
Okay.
Between tanking, between trying to bribe Brian Flores to tank, between his infatuation with Brady, as we know, and tampering with Brady or trying to get Brian Flores to tamper with Brady, to now this cockamamie scheme about bringing Sean Payton from the Saints, which would require draft compensation, and bringing Tom Brady first as a front office executive and owner, and then on the part owner. Owner was also mentioned.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Which I'm glad you said temporarily, because I'm pretty freaking sure you can't circumvent the salary cap. I'm pretty sure there's a rule somewhere. Yes, I feel like I read that somewhere where a player can't own part of the team. So they would have got him in under the auspices of ownership and management, only to then negotiate with the Buccaneers on draft compensation and trade for him. Do you know how ridiculous this all sounds? This sounds so ridiculous. And then my favorite part of the story, and I'll get it back, my favorite part of the story.
Go ahead.
The lawsuit messed up everything per the source. The plan to hire a white coach, and you referenced this, but I just want to read it. The plan to hire a white coach and a white team president without going through the Rooney Rule probably wouldn't fly once the Dolphins were sued for racial discrimination. Oh, it wouldn't fly once they were sued for racial discrimination as before they were sued for racial discrimination? As opposed to that? When you hear it and when you read it, it seems like, why couldn't the dude have just changed his mind? Why can't it just be that simple? Why couldn't he have just changed his mind?
Okay.
This is so ridiculous. They would have never pulled this off. Well, Bruce Arians said when he was still the coach, 5 first-round picks. It's bad for business. We wouldn't trade Tom Brady. Come on, man. I see you in Miami in 23, TB12.
We who?
The Bucs.
We who? Hey, listen.
This is so
right. That's what I'm saying. But that's look.
This is I got a Doctor Strange shirt. I should have worn a Mr. Fantastic T-shirt because y'all out here like this. Y'all out here like this right now. Like this. No.
Hey, listen.
It's
National Poetry.
I think about it, the less sense it makes.
International Poetry Month. International Poetry Month.
I wouldn't know that. You're the resident poet between the two of us. I wouldn't know that.
Let me quote a poet that we both respect. You don't understand my words, but you must choose. So come, choose life or death. Look, the bottom line is, man, choose the ball.
Choose the sword. Yeah.
Choose the sword. All right, look. You said it sounds ridiculous, right? You said it's conspiracy theory. I'll tell you what sounds ridiculous. Can I tell you what sounds ridiculous? Tom Brady says, 1 week he says, you know what? He didn't say retire, as Volen points out. He never used the word retire. I've decided not to do that competitive dance. Okay. He says that. The next week he says, well, you never say never, even though, bruh, you said never last week. Then he does a dance for the next 3 weeks. Right. Then he comes back. But wait. Oh, we're not done yet. He changed his mind. He just happened to change his mind. Tom Brady retires. Within a month and a half, Tom Brady retires. Tom Brady decides he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to retire. And then a couple weeks later, Bruce Arians, given the gift of Tom Brady returning, not Blaine Gabbert, not Kyle Trask, Tom Brady. Bruce Arians says, it's March. And, I was just sitting here thinking, you know what, man? Yeah, I'm going to turn my Super Bowl winning roster over to Todd Bowles because I'm such an ally. Man, that is some fun. Now, that's Hollywood.
Right.
Now, that's a Hollywood story.
Okay, I'll go back to Hollywood. Sherlock Holmes. A lot of people like to choose facts to suit theories as opposed to theories to suit facts. And because none of y'all are capable of actually...
But Mike...
Oh, okay.
Oh, we're not capable.
That's the first thing you said that I agree with.
Bring the condescending thing on. None of us, unlike Michael Smith, we're not capable of doing what? We're not capable of doing what? Go ahead. None of y'all are capable of what? Go ahead.
How you know it's condescending until I said it?
Because of the structure. It can't go anywhere else but to a condescending place.
I don't think it's condescending. I think it's a fact.
Go ahead.
Because y'all are capable of making sense of what otherwise doesn't make sense. Like, why would a coach walk away from a Super Bowl winning roster that late? Okay. No, that's not condescending. That's a fact. Because you're not capable of making sense of it, you have to reach for theories and reach for conspiracy theories. Because, why would Brady retire for 40 days when we thought he was done? Why would Bruce Arians walk away why would a coach walk away this late from a Super Bowl winning roster? Michael, I'm saying, okay, so you're telling me all of it's a conspiracy. All of it is.
It is?
Michael.
Okay.
You never bought that Bruce Arians was being magnanimous by stepping aside for Todd Bowles. So today in the Boston Globe, somebody just
I am.
You never bought that, right? You never bought that.
No, I'm buying that's part of it. I'm buying that's part of the story.
Okay, that makes it easier.
I ain't gonna bite. I ain't taking the whole apple. No,
fine.
I can't.
Okay. And it just so happens that somebody decides in the Boston Globe today to write something that supports your theory that there's more to the story. So let me just make sure I understand. Let me make sure I'm capable of understanding.
Okay.
You're telling me that but for Brian Flores' bombshell lawsuit, that Tom Brady is, if not part owner and a front office executive of the Dolphins as we sit here now, he is now the quarterback by virtue of a trade with the Bucs? Is that what you're telling me? That but for that lawsuit, that's what happens? In the craziest of all seasons, I find it a little hard to believe that this was that simple.
Right, okay.
And if Brady thought it was going to be that simple, then he's not as smart as I thought he was. Because nowhere does this seem like it would have worked to begin with. Forget about Brian Flores. This is so ridiculous. And I understand the dot connecting. But this is not like a picture that I can make out with these dots as being connected. And maybe I'm not capable. Maybe I'm not sophisticated enough. Maybe I can't see the forest for the trees to be able to see be able to buy what y'all are selling. But tell me where this would have worked. It's just all of it's just people just trying to fill in gaps. They're trying to fill in gaps. Oh, there's a 7-hour gap. Phone records are missing. We got to fill in the gaps with information. It's like there's a 40-day gap here. What must have happened in that 40 days to make him change his mind? That's what this is.
Mike, look, you can say it's reaching. You can say it's connecting the dots. And I know Ben Volen. I know his work. I've gone back and forth with Ben Volen on radio and on TV. So he doesn't need a hype man, but I think Ben might call it reporting. Well, I don't know. Ben's editors at the Boston Globe might say our national football guy is just reporting. It's not a conspiracy theory. He's got sources. He's got sources in New England. He's got sources in Miami. He's reporting. You may not buy what he's reporting because, look, I don't know what happened. I do know this. It is completely unusual. It is completely unusual for Tom Brady to retire. And then 40 days later, what you trying to be biblical, Tom?
You know what else is unusual? You know what else is unusual?
The owner of one team, did the devil take you to the top of the temple?
Bringing him on as a part owner as a way... Bringing him on as a part owner as a way of backdooring him into the quarterback position. I mean, there's moving parts, and then there's this. Come on, man.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.